So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. What if Naruto masters Xehanorts and recreated 13 Darkness Eternal Struggle with Pervy Laxene? Movie. Lightning struck the skies of the always night sky of the world that never was. Xigbar sat comfortable in his liverish purple leather chair in his room. The free student, being preoccupied by the outside storm, did not seem to notice that someone was entering his room. Xigbar, you are to report to Lord Xemnas. ASAP, the meeting is urgent, the blue-haired diviner known as Sakes commanded. Xigbar did not move, he simply looked out the window and gazed at the beauty of Mother Nature's work. Much to Sakes' irritation, the diviner and the shooter never really saw eye to eye, and not acting hastily was only upsetting the already irritated diviner. Xigbar, I will not repeat myself again. This is a demand directly from Lord Xemnas. You will comply, Sakes said, adding more bass to his voice. Xigbar simply smirked, breaking his attention from the weather. He took out a lighter and began to light his cigarette. He took a drag, inhaling and exhaling the chemicals of the cancer-creating stick. Very well, suit yourself, our lord will be displeased, Sakes said. Xigbar shrugged his shoulders. He did not care what Xemnas had to say at the moment. His mind was elsewhere, specifically in a bored place. Although he was a nobody, he felt more empty than usual, like there was simply no point to this organization. They have failed to retrieve Sora on several occasions, and this meeting will most likely be a plan that is destined to fail. The diviner began to walk off, but was blocked off by Demix, who was rushing to Xigbar's room. The Nocturne bumped into Sakes, knocking down his phone and snacks. Oh, I am so sorry, Sakes, Demix said incoherently. Sakes scowled at number 9. Of all the members he hated, number 9 was at the top of the list. He was lethargic, passive-aggressive, and was just plain lazy. Everything Sakes despised all into one person. Demix looked into Sakes' eyes and shivered in fear. The yellow eyes always scared him. He always believed there was something quite sinister behind such eyes, but could not put his tongue on it. Demix got up and slithered around Sakes and booked it to Xigbar's room. Xigbar, Xigbar, Demix yelled. Great, Demix was now here. Unlike Sakes, Xigbar was very fond of Demix, being his best friend within the organization. Xigbar brought his attention to Demix, smiling. What's wrong with you, kid? You act like you seen a ghost, the free shooter said, a tad bit concerned. Demix tensed up. Xigbar, there are some strange-looking folk lurking around here, Demix said. Xigbar rolled his eyes. Oh please, I don't feel like leaving right now, buddy. Why don't you tell X-Face or Zaldin to deal with them, Xigbar said, not wanting to leave his comfortable chair. No, it's urgent, dude. I was just patrolling the outside when I was approached by this weird man wearing an even weirder spaghetti mask. The man spoke your original name to me briefly. I believe he is looking for you, Demix said. Xigbar scratched his head, but in confusion. Demix was just about scared of his own shadow, but there is a reason he felt such fear. Although it is supposed contradiction for a nobody to feel anything at all, Xigbar knew the truth. Nobody's feelings are real and the heart replenishes itself over time. Only he and Lord Xemnas knew this fact. The others remained ignorant. But who could this masked man be, and what does he want with Xigbar? Demix led the free shooter out of the castle, where the man was standing against a pillar, arms folded. It is just as Demix said, he wore a swirly spaghetti mask. Aside from that, the man had jet black spiky hair and an equally black coat that covered his whole body. The coat had red clouds on it as if it was a sigil. Greetings, Briog. I am pleased to meet you, the masked man said, his voice commanding authority. Xigbar stared at the man, completely unfamiliar with this guy. This man was weird and gave off a very destructive temperament. Surely this man was more than he appeared to be. For now, you can call me Toby, although admittedly this is only an alias. My real name will be revealed to you soon enough, the masked man said, his red eye piercing through the opened eye socket of his mask. Toby, huh? What do you want with me, Mr. Spaghetti? Xigbar joked. He could not tell if the remark insulted the man or pleasured him. You are what we want, said a voice appearing behind the pillar. Xigbar's eyes could not believe what he just saw. Gloria, Xigbar said. It's Rejexiel now. I have become a nobody like you, she said with a thick Spanish accent. Her hair was long, blonde and wild, which complemented her tanned skin. She was tall, taller than Xigbar but shorter than Zaldin, with an hourglass figure. She wore a black coat similar to Toby. She appeared to be in her late 20s. Xigbar lost all his marbles at this point. He was sure this woman was dead, she died in his arms long ago. But here she was standing in front of him, fully matured and in perfect condition. Babe, is that really you? Xigbar said. Yeah, I am here, Rejexiel said, looking at her former lover with a heartfelt look. She ran up to him and hugged him. Xigbar held her, smelling the scent of the island she was from. He felt his humanity return to him slowly. Demix watched the two hug and did not know what to make of it. He did not know this woman from a hole in wall, and she walks in and automatically gains Xigbar's attention. Not to mention the mysterious masked man he was incredibly wary of. Xigbar stared in the woman's eyes. "Cerulean is the sea. I cannot believe it's you. What brings you here?" Xigbar said. "I do," said an oh-so-familiar voice. From the depths of darkness came the sinister old master Zehanort. "Old coot," Xigbar said with a jaw-dropping expression. First Regexiel and then Master Zehanort. Both were said to be completely destroyed, and yet here they are. What type of sorcery was going on that caused such chain of events? "I take it you are startled by our return," Master Zehanort said as snarky as ever. Xigbar nodded. Yeah. What the hell is going on?" Xigbar questioned. "A change in our agenda. The Keyblade War has begun," Master Zehanort said, summoning a Keyblade. This Keyblade was wavy mixed with purple and black. He handed the blade to Xigbar. "Whoa," Xigbar said, feeling excited. The Keyblade, the very weapon he desired since he learned of its power, now was in his grasp. Xigbar swung the blade around, getting the feel of it. "I trust you like your new weapon," Toby said. Yeah. This thing is awesome," Xigbar said, bewildered. He held the weapon firmly, feeling as heavy as he envisioned. The Keyblade looked like his sharp shooter guns in blade form. Master Zehanort surely got the likeness down packed. "I am guessing I am going to have to name this thing. How about Arsenal?" he said with a childish-like smile. Demyx stood there impressed by the weapon, but something was off. All three of these strangers gave off a downright evil aura, something Xigbar was not, at least not completely. Zehanort then stared at Demyx, his eyes beaming yellow into his soul. Demyx practically shat himself from such a glance. Just then he heard Vexen scream at the top of his lunges. Demyx immediately turned his attention to the castle. "That was Vexen," Demyx said in fear. Just then another cry was heard, this time belonging to Zexion. Demyx immediately ran into the castle to see what was going on. "Hey, old coot, what is going on?" Xigbar questioned. "In order for my plan to work, some sacrifices has to be made," Master Zehanort said. Xigbar's face of happiness turned into one of worry. "Wait, what you mean by sacrifices?" he questioned. Zehanort only smiled sinisterly. Another scream was heard, this time belonging to Lexos. Xigbar entered the castle to see both Laxene and Marluxia fade to darkness in Twilight's view. "What?" Xigbar exclaimed, surprise of the two members he inducted met their demise so easily. As they faded away, Xigbar noticed two men wearing the same coat as the others. One had red hair and swirling purple eyes, the other was a tall man with shark-like features. "Dude, you just killed my comrades," Xigbar complained, not knowing whether to retaliate or leave them. Neither of the two said anything to him. The shark-like man gave him a thirst-filled grin, one he did not trust. Xigbar continued to run to the round room. He got to the Hall of Empty Melodies to see Luxord and Sakes meet their end by a young man with duck-butt spiky black hair wearing a coat just like his comrades. The man put away his blade, which was surging with lightning. "What the hell? I can understand Sakes, but why did you kill Luxord? I actually liked him," Xigbar said. The intimidating young man stared at Xigbar, red eyes fixated on hatred. "Do you intend to stand in my way?" the young confident man said, slowly reaching for his blade. Xigbar did not know how to answer such a question. The man was obviously a threat if he was able to eliminate both Luxord and Sakes simultaneously. He did not answer, instead warped past the man. As he made it to the final floor, he spotted Demyx hiding in a corner. He walked over to his friend. "Look kid, I don't really know what's going on, but I want you to flee as fast as you can," Xigbar said. Demyx gave Xigbar a terrified look. "Why are these cloud people doing this to our friends?" Demyx said, trying to be as quiet as possible. "Look, I don't know. Find Axel, Roxas and Xian and tell them not to come back to the castle," Xigbar said. "Come with me," Demyx whined. "As if that old coot is light years more dangerous than Xemnas. Just do as I say and don't get yourself killed. We will talk later. I promise," Xigbar said. "But go," Xigbar said, pushing Demyx through the newly opened corridor of darkness. He arrived in the round room to see Xaldin fading away to darkness. At his side was a red-haired young man and a blonde ponytail young man, all wearing the same cloud coat like the previous strangers. But that is not what made his shiver. What made him freeze was him seeing his beloved superior being held by a man that could make God himself shiver. He had jet black long spiky hair and wore crimson samurai armor. He looked at the Xemnas, his hand tightening with his glare. "You and will build the bridge we need," the samurai-like man said, his voice deep and authoritative. The man looked at Xigbar, bearing the same eyes of hatred as the lightning sword user. Xemnas looked back at Xigbar, seeing his most trusted member just watch as he met his end. The intimidating man crushed Xemnas out of existence. Master Zehanort appeared, absorbing everything that was left of Xemnas. Yes, he said as his body began to ooze with darkness. He morphed into a younger version of himself around the age of 16. He instantly took his seat on Xemnas' chair. The samurai-like man then leapt to what was Zaldan's chair and took a seat. All the others began to take a seat as well. The redhead sat in Lexo's chair, the shark man sat in Sake's chair. A man with white hair and glasses wearing the Akastuki coat sat in Demix's chair. The red-eyed young man with the lightning saber took a seat in Marluxia's chair. Vanitas appeared in Rox's chair, wearing an Akastuki coat just like the others. Rejexiel sat in Laerxine's chair. A masked man wearing the coat sat in Luxord's chair. The blonde ponytailed man sat in Axel's chair. The swirl-eyed redhead sat in Zexian's chair and Toby sat in Vexen's chair. All seats were filled save for Xigbar's. Xigbar was in complete shock. He did not know what to make of his team being completely wiped out. All that remained of Organization 13 was Axel, Roxas and Zehan, who were currently eating ice cream in Twilight Town, and Demix. Xehanort looked at Xigbar, giving him the notion to take a seat. Xigbar did as he was bid and sat amongst the others. I take it you are confused, Breg. Well, allow me to enlighten you. Organization 13 was destined to fail. Xehanort said, his voice more monotone than his older self. Wait a minute, we were supposed to fail, so you can get re-completed, Xigbar said. Originally yes, alas an unlikely event has caused me to resurface to this dimension. In truth I originate from another dimension, but when I awoke in this dimension, I used some of the spare time I had to study the worlds this place inhabits, and along the way I learned of warriors whose hatred was legendary. The Akastuki, all members assigned to capture the tailed beast, create a plan that put their world in a trance. Alas, it was not the Moon Eye plan that caught my interest but the warriors sent to enact it. They were steaming with hatred and possessed darkness fouler than ever. Last member of the organization. I used that darkness to my advantage, skipping around the time stream and retrieving these warriors. Of course I had to manipulate them using the darkness to share my ambitions. They still have their likeness but their loyalty belongs to me, Zehanort explained. Xigbar took in all the information that Zehanort just processed and understood what Zehanort meant. It was just as he'd been thinking. The organization did not have what it takes to directly follow Zehanort's ambitions. They were too concerned with their own petty schemes. But these warriors have been manipulated to follow Zehanort's orders. Organization 13 failed its original goal to renounce the mind of its sense of self, yet Xehanort was able to improvise. These warriors all had their likeness still intact while still being part Zehanort. It was true that Zehanort was an ingenious man. My original plan was set to fail. The organization was not ideal for the 13 Darkness. They were weak, in comparison to my new comrades, consisting of some of the most deadly shinobi and cold-hearted warriors I know. Madara Uchiha, the devil of Shinonbi, Sasori of the Red Sand, the everlasting ventriloquist, Kisame Hoshigaki, the warbound sellsword, Kabuto Yukashi, the baleful enigma, Sasuke Uchiha of the Sharingan Eye, the avenger of hatred, Vanitas of the Silent Mask, the abusive king, Rejexiel of the Hazard Lands, the magnetic temptress, Kakuzu of the river, the illustrious abyss, Deidara of the stone, the adhesive terrorist, Nagato Uzumaki of the Rinnegan Eye, purveyor of pain, Obito Uchiha, the faceless apprentice. At that moment Toby took off his mask, revealing his injured right half of his face. The man wielded Sharingan in his right eye and Rinnegan in his left eye. And Xigbar the infinite marksman. Together we are now the true 13 Darkness, and we will begin the Keyblade War, Zehanort said. As he did, each member summoned a Keyblade to their own likeness. I now have my 13 Darkness. Let us see if our heroes will find their precious 7 lights, Zehanort said, holding his guardian Keyblade. The 13 Darkness has been formed. Now Zehanort and I will accomplish the goals we set out back in those radiant garden days. Man, I sure hope Demix is okay, Xigbar thought.